Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners. This is a video for the subject of education for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Educational Technology. We are going to discuss the teaching learning strategies and materials, and the focus will be on design and development of teaching learning materials including the EDDI model. This video lecture is recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the presenter of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer of this video is Professor Jasim Ahmad from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha Channels of Ministry of Education, Government of India. Hello my dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we will be discussing about the teaching learning strategies and materials, and here the discussion will be based on design and development of teaching learning materials, and the focus will be on the EDDI model of instructional designing. The objectives of this session are to discuss the process of production of teaching learning material, to elaborate the process of instructional designing, to describe the EDDI model of developing an instructional design. We will also see that what exactly is the meaning of instructional design and what exactly it does whenever we are trying to make a teaching learning material. So first of all, what exactly is the meaning of a teaching learning material, or it's very popularly called as the instructional material. Often we also name it as TLM or the teaching learning aids, and there are many other names by which students and teachers actually call these materials, which are basically any collection of materials. They can include animate and inanimate objects. They can be any human or non-human resource, like in case of a teacher, even the teacher is a resource. And the situations in which the teacher actually brings the students and teaches the students many things, those situations are also considered to be the resource for teaching. And all these things, why these things are being done? To achieve the desired learning objectives. So the instructional material, which are also known as the teaching aids, can be a student who is concentrating or who is trying to go ahead with certain learning experiences. That particular learning experience in which the students are put in, that can also be considered to be one of the types of the instructional materials, or a particular way in which we are providing a learning experience to a student. And whenever we talk about making the teaching learning process more exciting, interesting, and also interactive, it should not be like very passive or one way. Whenever we as a teacher try to make the process interactive and much more interesting for our students, we always try to go for multiple teaching aids and teaching materials. Even we go for using multiple type of pedagogies involving the students in multiple activities, and we take help of certain material or certain tools. These tools, which are used in the instructional activities, can include various material or various types of accessories, and every single accessory, every single type of material which is used here can be considered as the teaching learning aid or teaching learning material or an instructional material. and these are all helpful in the active learning process as well as the assessment of learning. This particular term, the teaching learning material or the instructional material, this term encompasses all the materials, all the physical means of of sort of method or pedagogy which the teacher is using or might be using in the implementation of the instruction for the facilitation of the teaching learning process to help the students to achieve the instructional objectives. So every single sort of material or way can be considered in the category of teaching learning material. When we are talking about the material objects or things which can have certain physical existence, then we can go for certain types of teaching learning material. Like the print material, we have got many print material with us, like the textbooks, we have got handouts, we have got pamphlets, posters, study guides, we have got manuals, many reference books. So there can be anything which is in the printed form is considered to be a teaching learning material which is of print form. Then the next category is the audio material. The material which can be heard by anybody with auditory organs, sense organs can sense that particular material is considered to be the audio material. And nowadays a very important and very growing area is the development of podcasts. Podcasts are very popular nowadays, and these are small audio clips which can be used by anybody to understand, comprehend any topic or anything which can be easily understood if we can hear those particular things. Like in case of recitations of poetry or maybe anything which can be easier to understand, to comprehend, to pronunciate if we are in a position to hear. So that is the audio material. Then after that there is the visual material, the photographs, all those things which can be seen by our sense organs, which are our eyes, the sight sense organs. We can visualize, we can like by the sense of vision, we can actually see those particular things. Like if there is a photograph or there is a chart or even a real object, there can be transparencies, and there can be anything which can be seen by us is considered to be visual teaching or learning material. The next category is something which is audiovisual, or something where our hearing and seeing, both of the sensing processes are utilized. And in some of the ways we can say that those objects which can be seen and can be heard are better than the earlier ones. So these can be categorized under the multimedia objects because there are many ways in which we can actually utilize these objects. So any type of video program, video clip, documentary, TV program, a film strip, a small video recording of anything which you feel like can be an educational resource is coming under this category of the audiovisual aids. The multimedia objects, we can prepare many type of audiovisual things and which can be utilized by the help of many devices on which we can play these audiovisual teaching learning material. And more advanced category, which can be considered to be a category where there is a possibility of some sort of interactiveness. Interaction is also possible. Like nowadays, gaming is getting very popular, electronic gaming or computer gaming, and these games can be of educational nature. They are for amusement or for entertainment purpose, but they can be for educational purposes although, and there can be many certain type of tools which can be used for interactive mathematics, for interactive language learning, for interactive type of science learning, these graphic material which is having certain sort of facilities where you can draw, you can do anything. Actually, the things can be actively, the person can actively participate in the creation of that particular object which is of interactive nature. So that is also another category of teaching learning material. So these are some of the popular categories. There are many more, but for educational purpose, uh, these are the categories which are very much utilized in the modern classrooms, and we recommend our students to utilize these facilities, because by the use of these teaching learning material we can make our classrooms very much lively. So in this lecture, in this particular session, we are going to see that what are the methods, what are the processes which are involved in the design and development of the teaching learning material, these teaching learning aids, and most of the times we will be referring to a video program. But in case of a print material, in case of an audio clip or a simple photograph, or even in case of a interactive object or a video program, in different cases, almost the same process is followed. So you have to just see that what exactly is the process step by step we have to follow whenever we go for developing or designing a teaching learning material. So there are three stages of program production or development of a teaching learning material. The first stage is pre-production, the second stage is production stage, and the third stage is post-production. Let us see in detail that what exactly these three stages mean. So the first stage is the pre-production stage. In the pre-production stage, basically we go for researching. Those people who are involved in commercial development of the teaching learning material, they research a lot. They take a topic and they see that what will be the best way in which we can transact the topic, and what will be the best aid which can be utilized by a teacher. And the teacher should not be the somebody who is being imagined, who is having all the equipment and all the fancies of fancy things. Basically, we are going to imagine a mediocre teacher who is having just basic things, basic devices, and the material which we are preparing should be utilized, should be uh, created in a way that even a simple teacher with basic facilities can utilize those teaching material. So, if we are trying to create a video clip or an audio clip or any type of interactive object, we first go for scripting and storyboard writing. So the pre-production phase of a project is something or somewhere when we plan. The planning takes place, and basically this happens before we go for making a recording or go for a camera roll. So basically that happens before the actual process initiates. So here we do a lot of research, we do all the preparations, and it is it is a lengthy process because the rigor of the material or the program which you are going to create, that particular process when the program is actually recorded, that is a small phase or small time. But when you are preparing for this recording or for creating the program, that takes a lot of time, a lot of recce and research. Hours and days are utilized in the planning phase, and overall vision, the overall objective, the outcome, everything is kept in mind when we are doing this planning. So the pre-production phase also includes the working out of the location. If suppose we are going for an outdoor location, We also see that what are those situations, what is the weather, what are the permissions which are required. Suppose we are going for an outdoor shoot and it's a public place, then we have to even seek permission from the authorities. So every single aspect is taken care of while the planning process or in this pre-production phase. So the pre-production mode starts with writing down a few points to cover in a video or in any of the programs, and even a small or a short piece of detail is also written somewhere where which can be relooked whenever the director or the person who is responsible for the entire process is willing to give some direction to the people who are involved. So if everything is written, it will be easier for him or her to explain and to let them recollect. So every single information is written somewhere, either on a computer or a device or on a piece of paper. And after this particular process starts, which is the writing and like mentioning every single detail on a piece of paper or on a device, we normally call it as storyboarding. Storyboarding of a project, a storyboarding of a video program. And these storyboards can really smooth out the post-production process. Basically, they are very much helpful for making the production happen, and even in the case of post-production, if things are planned properly, storyboarded properly, then the post-production, the editing will be very much smooth, and nothing will be thought of that, okay, that might be done in this way, or that is something which is done wrongly and now the time has gone, and how we are going to make things and in a proper way. So all these things which happen, which can arrive in front of us at the editing stage can be avoided if we have done the planning process and the storyboarding properly. And it will be very much useful if there are multiple people who are working on the project. And most of the times, in case of a big project, or in case of the production where uh, programs are created at mass scale, a lot of people work. uh, like in case of programs which are created for telecast, a lot of people work together, and it becomes difficult to instruct every single individual in at the same time in a very particular way. So it becomes easier for the director or for the producer if things are written and storyboarded properly. So every person will be aware of that what is his or her responsibility. They will get everything in writing and they will act accordingly. So it becomes very organized and a peaceful process. So that is why this pre-production is very, very important. The next is the core, the heart, and that is the production process. Production begins once the footage or the actual recording happens. This is the actual process where the things are being recorded, being implemented. This process will capture all the scenes and information captured in the pre-production process. So whatever we have planned right now in the production process, these things are being implemented. And during the production process, you whatever you are applying or whatever I am applying is something which was planned earlier. So accordingly, the equipment, the lighting resources, the people who are required, the material, the things which are required if there is a video recording and we have gone for a outdoor shoot, everything is actually collected and prepared so that once the recording happens, everything is in line and nothing is actually a hayway. So the frame, the camera, the roles, the composition of the scene, the things, the artifacts or the properties or props, whatever are being utilized here in this recording or in case of a real shooting, whatever angles we have thought of, every single thing is actually covered here in the production process when the recording is happening. And normally, whenever we record, we also go for a B roll. We also go for an extra, like if there is a recording which is involving a lot of expense. Normally, we go for a B roll, which is a supplementary footage taker, like the extra camera, which is utilized to take the supplementary footage. And in case the specific footage is required and the main camera has not recorded to the right angle, maybe this B-roll is going to help us out for making the finished product a very nice and the desirable product which we wanted to make. So that is why in case of professional video program development, always the directors and the producers go for a B-roll production, which is done by an extra supplementary footage taking camera. So this is something which is considered to be the real recording process, which is called as the production process. After the production process, we come to the post-production process. In the post-production process, basically this process begins after all the footages or all the recording is done. All the footages are now captured. So now we are going to make them together and we are going to bring out a finished product. And that happens in the post-production process. And this is basically one of the, you can say, like in my case, because I am involved in a lot of video making process and even the professional video development, you can say that this is something which I love a lot. Why? Because we have got a lot of liberty, a lot of liberty, that the footages which we are having, we can make a lot of novelty, a lot of inclusions, we can add a lot of graphics, photographs, diagrams. And in case of if a person who is involved in video production, if the person is aware of using open educational resources, we can even go for searching these resources over the internet, and there are ample in number which can be utilized by the person who is creating the educational media programs. These open educational resources are very, very important to use because they are created for usage purpose. They are having some open licenses, like the license called CC BY or CC BY SA, and the licenses are allowing us to use the material without seeking permission from the author, and we can utilize them for the purpose of creating our own resources. And we will also provide the attribution to the first author. So in some way, we are basically acknowledging the first author. So the rights of the first author are also uh, reserved, and we are creating something out of something which is already created. So the repurposing happens, and it makes the educational programs very much enriched, very kind of camera friendly and visually enriched. So we can add a lot of graphics, images, even the background music, background scores are utilized for the purpose of making the programs very energetic, color correction, special effects. All these things are done in the post-production process. Basically, we call it the editing stage. The editing consoles are used where we do all the cutting, splicing, and adding a lot of different articulations to the program, to the footages. And if you are the producer of your own video content, in that case, there will be a bit of, you have to see that every single penny which you are utilizing, you are actually investing, should be utilized and all. So That is something which is also kept in mind, like the budgeting which you have done already earlier. Your production process or the post production should not exceed that budget and all those things. But in fact, this post production process can be taking a lot of time, because in the process of production it might take 2 days to record, but it might take 2 weeks to get the finished product come in front of you. So a lot of pain, a lot of energy is actually utilized in the editing process, but this editing process makes the video, the end product, actually the product which was sought after. So this is the essence of the process of video production, or any type of teaching resource, teaching learning material production. Whenever we talk about the educational way in which we are going to produce a program, we always talk about the process of instructional designing. So we are just going to have a look at what exactly is the meaning of an instructional design, or what is the process of instructional designing. So the instructional designs are concerned with an application of modern skills and techniques for the requirements of education and training. This includes facilitation of learning by manipulation of media, methods, and the control of environment, so far as this reflects on learning. And this is a basic definition of instructional designing, which is given by Unwin. In this particular video, we will be discussing a very popular approach or a model of instructional designing, which is in a way path breaking, where we can see that how the instructions are designed, be it an instruction for a normal classroom or an instruction where we are going to create a teaching learning material. So this instructional designing approach, which we are going to discuss, is very important even for the students who are going to become the teachers, those who are going to become the material developers, or those who are interested in media program development. They are also going to get benefited, as well the students, those who are going to become teachers, they can also get benefited, because the entire process is utilized whenever you are going to create some sort of mindset of taking a class. So let us try to see what exactly this model or this approach is all about. Before seeing that what exactly this approach is, which is called as the ADDIE approach, we first see that what is the purpose of instructional designing. What exactly we are trying to achieve by the instructional design. So the instructional designers and those people who are involved in the training, or in the development of the instructional designs, they have several purposes. Some of them can be discussed here, like there is a purpose where for designing a face-to-face or distance education or an online course, we are creating or developing an instructional design. So that is of a different sort. When we are creating an online course or a distance education program, we we know that what will be our teaching learning material, what will be the modules, who are going to be the audiences, and how we can utilize our most of the energy uh, in a way that it can be useful, it can be used by the students in the best possible way. So the first purpose, which is for the creation of online courses or distance education programs, better and more interactive and interesting. So if there is a proper instructional design, you can find the online courses very, very interesting. The second purpose can be for making a lesson plan for students for a particular class. And here I don't mean like the by the lesson plan I don't mean that some sort of 5-6 pages where all the teaching learning plan is drawn, and the introduction part, and then the presentation part, and the evaluation scheme, everything is actually given by the lesson plan. Even something which is jotted down on a piece of paper, or maybe taught by a teacher, an experienced teacher, that if she is going to teach a topic in a class, how she is going to check the previous knowledge of a student, how she is going to perform an activity, what will be the material which she is going to use, how she is going to introduce the topic, how she is going to present, and how she is going to do the formative assessment during the class. At the end, what will be the summative assessment means, and what will be the homework or the recapitulation plan. So if things are happening in the mind of a teacher, that can also be considered as the lesson plan. And here also the instructional design is actually prepared. This particular lesson plan, whenever you prepare it, you are actually doing the instructional designing. Then for writing a media script for the production of programs, be it a audio program or a video program, we actually prepare the script, which is one of the forms of the instructional design. Here we are writing the instructions, what we are going to do, who is going to do what. Everything is planned, everything is written, and that is this media script or the storyboard is a form of instructional design. The next is when we are designing a multimedia script or a storyboard for the multimedia packages and the learning objects, that is also considered to be the instructional design, or for the purpose of creating a storyboard or the multimedia packages, we utilize the instructional designing way. So saying one thing in another way, and like something which is going to explain the similar process when we are creating a script or we are creating a storyboard for the development of a media program or a learning object. Let us now come to the ADDIE approach. What exactly is the history? This ADDIE approach was developed in the Florida State University. They initially developed the ADDIE framework, and that was for explanation of the processes which are involved in the formulation of an instructional systems development program for military inter-service training, that that was adequately to train the individuals to do a particular job, and which can also be applied to any inter-service curriculum development activity. So the purpose was different, but this approach was seen to be used in many programs, many ways. And once this particular approach was out, we, the people saw that it can be utilized in a very better way, even in case of education. So produced for the military purpose, but utilized in the educational process very well. So what is the meaning of ADDIE? ADDIE is basically an acronym, and it's an instructional systems design approach. So here the acronym ADDIE, A stands for analysis, D stands for design, then the next D stands for develop, then next I is denoting to implement, and E denotes evaluate. So this is the expansion of the acronym ADDIE. So you can see here on the screen the ADDIE model, the 5 words which are coming in the expansion of A, D, D, I, E letters. Those 5 terms can be pictured visualized here in the form of a picture, and you can see that this picture is having analyze at the top, and then you can see that there are arrows which are coming to the next word, and then there is a next arrow which takes it to the next word. From design we go to develop, and then from develop we go to implement, and then from implement we can again go to analyze, and in the center there is evaluation, and there are dotted bidirectional arrows which denote that evaluation can be done at any stage, can done or cannot be. So it is on the basis of the, like, it depends on the requirement. If you require something to be evaluated at the stage of analysis, it is possible. If you require things to be evaluated at the stage of design, that is possible. Likewise in every case, but it depends on the requirement. So it's not a necessary process, but it can be done. So that is why there are dotted bidirectional arrows. So in the case of analyze, define the needs and the constraints. Design, the word design basically specify the learning activities, assessment, and choosing methods and media, like how we are going to choose. In the case of develop, how the things are being produced, how we are formulating the evaluation process, and basically the formative evaluation, and then how we are going to make the revisions. In case of implementation, how we are putting the plan into action, and then evaluate, which is in the center. This particular central part is the plan from all the levels for which can take us to the next implementation. If there is a need for evaluation, if there is a need for revision, we can definitely go to that particular step where the evaluation has to place. So this is a simple and very useful model which explains that how the instructional design is prepared. Let us try to discuss these simple steps in a more elaborate way. The first step, or the first phase, which is analysis phase of ADDIE approach. Here in this analysis phase, the instructional problem is clarified, the instructional goals and the objectives are established, and the learning environment and the student, or the person who is actually being focused, that person's existing knowledge and skills are identified. So what exactly, with the perspective of a teacher, what we are doing, we are checking the previous knowledge. What exactly this child who is in front of us, whom we are going to teach, or we are going to transact some new knowledge, what is the level of understanding? What is the previous knowledge of this child? At which level this child is right now? So that is judged. Then there are few questions which can be uh, addressed, like if we are trying to be here in the analysis phase, there can be certain things which can be answered by certain questions here in this analysis phase. What are those things which we are going to cover in the interrogative form? Let us try to see. The first thing is, who is the audience and what are their characteristics? So if we have to teach a topic, we first have to see to which class we are going to teach it. This is going to tell us the difficulty level, the extent to which we are going to make our preparations done. So we have to see, we have to know our audiences and from where they belong to, what would be their nature, what would be the extent of their previous knowledge. Then the next is to identify the new behavioral outcome. After exposing them to a new knowledge, what exactly we expect to to get as a change in the behavioral pattern. That is the next thing. Then what types of learning constraints are existing? There might be a problem of language, a barrier of language. There might be a barrier which where when the topic which we are going to teach might be alien to them. So not at all they would have heard about that particular topic, and even the basics are not clear. So in that case, even at advanced level, we have to first cover the basics, and then we can go to the basic topic. So the learning constraints which can be there, we have to see for those and we have to remove those. Then only we can go ahead. Then what are the delivery options? What are the ways in which we can transact as a teacher? What is the strategy which we have to follow? What is the pedagogical aspect which can be adapted by us or adopted by us? So here the delivery options are also to be judged by the teacher. Then what are the online pedagogical considerations? If we are using certain ICT tools or online facilities, what are the considerations which we can see? Like if we are in a rural area, what are the constraints which we are having? There might be limited devices or any type of hindrance. So we have to go for, like, we are prepared well for an online class, or maybe using of a fully equipped ICT equipped classroom, but we might not be having the physical resources. So that type of things are also to be considered. And what are the theoretical aspect, like who are the audiences and what type of methodology, like the if the audiences are students who of normal age, we can go for um, the pedagogical aspect. But if we suppose we have got some adult learners, and what would be the andragogy which we are going to follow? So that is also something which we have to do in this analysis phase. And what is the timeline? What is the time which is given to us to complete the entire process? That is also something which we have to consider while this analysis phase is going on. Then comes the design phase of EDI approach. The design phase deals with learning objectives, assessment instruments, exercises, or all those evaluation material, the content, the subject matter analysis, lesson planning, and media selection. So here we actually design our entire uh, methodology, or we strategize. So here in this designing phase, basically we are doing the instructional strategy development, or here the instructional strategies are designed and the media choices are made. The design phase should be systematic and very specific. If we are focused, then it is going to be very much specific and systematic. Systematic means a logical, orderly kind of method of identifying, developing, and evaluating a set of planned strategies targeting for attaining the projects or the goals. And by the word specific, what I mean is basically that each element of the instructional design or the plan needs to be executed with attention on the minute details even. So we have planned something. So at the stage of designing, we have to go for all those minute details and very specifically design the material accordingly. So this is the design phase, the important features of the design phase, where we do all the work for the purpose of creating our media program, or create or visualizing our instructional plan or a class. Then comes the development phase of the EDI approach. In the development phase, the instructional designers and the developers create and assemble the content. They they create first the blueprint, which is actually done in the design phase, that blueprint is kept in front of them, and on the basis of that blueprint they actually design the content. And if here some sort of e-learning methodology is involved, the programmers, and somehow the programmers can be the teachers itself, they develop or integrate the different technologies for the purpose of creating the instructions or designing a class. These designers or the teachers or the programmers, they create various storyboards. They do a lot of work in terms of the development of the program. They also see that if there are any errors, if the material which is being utilized, if there is something which is to be corrected, they do all the rectifications, and they see that all the procedures which are happening are being done in a proper way. And the project is reviewed in a very rigorous way, any type of revision which is required on the basis of the feedback which is collected from the different reviewers, that revision is also done, and on that particular basis the development phase actually goes on and the program is developed. And this development phase gives the outcome which is in the form of a program or a teaching material, or in case of an online course, the online course is created. So whatever is the focus, that particular thing is created in this development phase. At the next level, we go for implementation. So this is the implementation phase of the approach. The implementation phase includes the testing of the prototypes, and this testing happens with the target audience. Here, the target audience, a small section or sample of the target audience is actually uh, considered, and this involves the putting of the product in full production and training the learners and instructors on how to use the product. During the implementation phase, a procedure for training the facilitators and the learners is developed. So basically, we create a lot of manuals that if something is created, a strategy or a program or any material is created, how to use it. So we create handouts or certain manuals which can be given. If a media program is being developed, then we also jot down certain points which can be helpful for the teachers who are going to use that program for the teaching learning process. So the facilitators training should cover the course curriculum, learning outcomes, methods of delivery, and the testing procedures. Preparation of the learners include the training of these learners on the new tools. In case the new tools include certain hardware or some of the software, the, how to use that hardware or software, that training is also included here. And even if some sort of registration is required, that is also done here in the implementation phase. This is also the phase where the project manager or whosoever is responsible for the proper implementation of the project ensures that the material in the form of a book or hands-on equipment or maybe a tool, or if we are utilizing certain devices or the software, all are in place, all are actually properly prepared and maintained. And the learning application, or if we are utilizing the services of a website or learning management system or a closed course platform, everything is functional and in a conducive state. When we are going to make the course on, things will not be, we can say that they all are in place and they will work in a very proper way in which it was desired. So that is the responsibility of the teacher or the project manager or the person who is creating this instructional design or the course or the material. to make sure that everything works properly, be it the hardware or the software or the media or website or a course platform. After this, let us see this evaluation phase of ADDIE approach, which was at the center. We have seen that it was at the center, so and it was connected with every phase with the dotted lines and bidirectional lines, and this gives an essence to evaluation phase, a power to evaluation phase that it can be done or it can happen at any of the phases. Evaluation phase consists of two parts, the formative evaluation and the summative evaluation. Formative evaluation is involved in each stage of the ADDIE process, and the summative evaluation, basically this consists of the tests that which are designed for domain-specific criteria, basically the domain-specific criteria related referenced items and providing opportunities for feedback from the users which were identified. So this summative evaluation gives a bird eye view of whatever is actually created. It provides feedback which can be utilized in the improvement of the entire system or the material which is being prepared. So let us now have a quick recap whatever we have studied today. We have studied about what exactly is the meaning of a teaching learning material. They are considered to be any collection of materials including animate and inanimate objects, human or non-human resources that a teacher may use in teaching and learning situations to help achieving desired learning objectives. Instructional materials may aid a student in making a concrete plan of a learning experience to make learning more exciting, interesting, and interactive. Whenever we are going to create a media program or we are going to create a material which can be utilized as a TLM, there are three steps or three processes which are involved. These are the pre-production, production, and post-production stages. Then we have also seen the ADDIE approach, which is ADDIE is an acronym. It's an instructional systems design or ISD approach. It involves 5 phases. The first one is analysis, then design, develop, implement, and evaluate. And all these 5 phases encompass the the process of the development of a teaching learning material. If we are creating a course, they can go for explaining the process of creation of a course, and they properly explain the entire methodology which a course creator, a teacher, a programmer, or a project manager involves when a new project, a venture, or a course or a teaching learning material is initiated to be created for any of the purposes. And in case of educational purpose, teacher has a very important role because the teacher is going to become instrumental whenever the teaching learning material is being prepared. Why? Because the teacher knows the topic, the teacher knows the content, and what will be the best material to be utilized for teaching that particular content is also somehow the domain of this teacher. So the teacher, if herself or himself is creating the material, the media resource, a video or an audio, that can be surely very much effective for the purpose of teaching. It is just the to learn few of those skills which can be helpful for all of us for creating nice resources which can be utilized by the teachers, the peer group teachers, and the ultimate audiences who are our students. So these are going to stay for lifetime and even after our lives because they are, if they are on the internet, they can be utilized by many of our students who are not directly our students, but they are somehow our students virtually. So With these words, I'll just conclude my topic of today. These are few of those references and the suggested links which are suggested for further reading and making your knowledge more enhanced regarding this topic. Go ahead and study more. From my side, thank you so much for today. Let us see each other in another session another time. Dear students, you are watching a video on teaching learning strategies and materials, and in this lecture we discussed about design and development of teaching learning materials, and the focus was the ADDIE model. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the homebound situation of COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.